Hello, how are you? I am just fresh off my latest debate. Just going to drop in here and say a big thank you to everybody that was here. Hopefully, we'll have some people come in and they can tell me and give me some good feedback. I felt like I didn't get enough feedback. I felt like they were wrapping up very quickly, and I really did want to get more on how I could improve, how I can sort of address some of the things that some of the things that I may be able to do that would improve it. I will get the StreamYard link. I do apologize. This was very impromptu. It was very chaotic and impromptu. I just decided to do it. So excuse me while I grab into chat and go pop and see if I can pin that. So anybody that wants to come in, do feel free. Happy to. I'm going to save a spot for Peter, and I've only got 6 spots, so I apologize if you sort of can't get in, but I will. Oh, and there's Simos. Hello, sir. How are you? Hello, Jason and Jefferson Spatchcock, who I had a really great conversation with the other day. Caterpillar, love to see you always. Carol the Atheist, welcome. Love to see you too. I will just send.
Hello, good to see you, Mark. I'm forever in your debt, which means, of course, I'm your slave.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I mean, according to JiL, you're not a slave. You're a servant who has voluntarily entered my service for an indeterminate amount of time, really.
Yeah.
I can't believe he just conceded basically every single, because I set it up at the start. This is what slavery is. This is what debt slavery, chattel slavery. I must admit, my presentation was way too long. Oh my! I didn't even really get through it.
No, it wasn't. Oh, the one that you actually wrote for the presentation, yeah.
Yeah, we had 5 minutes, and I forgot that it was 5 minutes, so I probably had a 10-minute presentation that I was going through at a rapid rate. But I did like that format. I especially liked the questioning part. I thought that was fun, where we could each sort of give questions to each other. Although JiL didn't seem to understand what questions were. And
no, that's his tactic. That's his tactic. His tactic is to avoid the topic.
Right.
That was his tactic from the beginning. I mean, look, I'll be honest. Like I was saying in the previous hangout in whoever we were in, I can't remember now, Wild Arts probably. We've all debated, JiL, on this subject.
Right.
I mean, literally everybody in this community at some point has sat down with JiL and gone, yeah, but you're just a fucking tosser on this, right?
Right.
So, I thought you did remarkably well, considering, and really the debate format really doesn't show JiL in the right thing. Let me give a couple of criticisms first, if I may.
Sure, absolutely.
Would you mind if I just go through the debate quickly and then
No, go for it. Sorry, Tim.
I feel like it's like an Amy thing, really. Where someone comes in and they just say their rant straight away. You know what I mean?
I like that. It sort of gives people time to set up what they want to talk about. There's nothing wrong with her format. Her format's great. I love Amy's format.
Yeah. Brilliant. Okay, so basically, I was pissed off that you went first because you're the negative, right? And in a proper debate, the proposition was the proposition was the Bible supports slavery.
Oh, right? Yeah, it does too, doesn't it? Yeah, you're right.
Right, and what? No, was it that way around? I can't remember now. Let me just check it because I can't remember. I looked at the proposition and I went, "Hang on a minute, is that right?" Discussion. The Bible supports slavery. I suppose no. I suppose you are. No. I suppose you are the pro.
Are you gaslighting me, Simos? What are you doing?
Yeah, I didn't know for a moment there. My whole thing was when I first read it, I thought, is that right? The Bible
I was going
supports
crazy
slavery.
for a second. What's wrong with me?
And I thought, oh no, I've got so many things on my mind I want to say.
No,
So
no, no,
sorry
no,
about
that's cool, mate. No, it's fine, it's fine.
I said it a couple of
Don't worry about it.
times in debate, and no one said anything back. And I thought, oh well, I must be right then. The Bible doesn't support slavery. The Bible supports slavery. I mean, again, you were both pro then in that case, because as you said, he did say the Bible supports slavery, but
Right.
this positive slavery, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that was the difference, okay? Like I was saying. So this is JiL's thing when he was with us as well. You know, when I had a debate with him on this topic, he said, "Show me where it says that anybody was taken into slavery involuntary." Right? And I said, "Well, no, I think that's not the point, right? It doesn't say in the Bible whether it's voluntary or involuntary.
Right.
So you can't say that it's all voluntary. Right? All we know is that it is slavery." And that was eventually the point that you made, okay? And I think that is my one criticism of you, is you did not press that point. He was clearly shifting the burden about the definition of slavery, right? And there's no justification
as he always does.
There's no justification for his definition of slavery, right? There just isn't, right? I mean, if anything, there is implications, i.e., as long as they don't fucking die within 2 days, right? That says maybe that isn't a voluntary thing, right? No, I don't let somebody I don't voluntarily submit myself to being beaten to within an inch of my life, provided I don't die within 2 days, right? There's no voluntary agreement I would ever make, right? For that to be the case, even if I owed everything that I was ever going to earn in my life. Okay, so just to say, that's the point there, right? And he's saying that that's a normal practice in the Middle East 2,000 years ago, is that people voluntarily decided to take a beating. Okay, well, there we go. And that's the point I really would have made, which is different from how you kind of approached it. But having said that, I had a 3-hour debate with JiL on the topic, so I came to that conclusion after many hours of debating him, you know.
Right. Well, see, the thing is that he really wanted to have this morality debate, but I'm sort of sick of morality at the moment. And I didn't want to debate it with him. So I just said, no, I'd rather look at the exegesis of the Bible rather than a morality question, because I do like debating morality when it's morality, but sort of stuff with the Bible, it always gets bogged down in morality, and you never end up talking about the Bible, whether it supports or, you know, does anything like it. So I didn't really want to do that. And he's sort of like, oh, you're dodging and stuff. And it's like, no, JiL, just because somebody doesn't really want to debate the exact topic you want doesn't mean they're dodging. It's such, he gets things into his head. I don't know why. But as I said, he kind of conceded every single point that I had. Like, he just openly conceded debt slavery without realizing it.
He realizes. But I'm saying he's making this distinction between voluntary and involuntary, and he's only counting slavery as involuntary, right? So although he says, well, they use that term, slavery, but it's voluntary, right? And just as we go to work these days, it's voluntary. Well, that's fair enough, but you see the distinction being made here.
Yeah. But, I mean, debt slavery is voluntary too. It's coerced, but it's voluntary.
Well,
like people get put in such a bad
that's something he brought up, right? That's one thing he brought up. And what you could have said, right? What you could have said is that, no, some debt slavery is involuntary because loan sharks will charge you such a high percentage, right, that you never get to pay off the debt.
Can I add in just one more thing?
Sorry, mate. Yeah. Go for it, Peter. Sorry. Welcome.
Because if everything's voluntary, are POWs voluntary? POWs? Are they just stand at the front and say, take me? Because JiL acknowledges those as slaves. Those aren't voluntary.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he did acknowledge that those were involuntary, the same as criminal.
Right, but you find it hard to, like, the way that it's described in Numbers and Leviticus, where you basically go in. Is it Leviticus or Deuteronomy? I can't remember which, but you go in and you kill, or like if the city submits to you, they basically become a tributary.
Mhm.
They're basically working for your tribe, essentially. But if they resist, you go in and you kill all of the men, and you take the women and the children as plunder. There's no possible way you could say that that's a voluntary situation.
Yeah, you can.
Well, I
JiL
mean, you
has.
can, but it would be
JiL
would be one
has.
of the most ludicrous
Well,
positions.
no, because there's another bit in there that says you don't sleep with them for a month.
Yes, that's if
Right?
you want to take one as your wife. Yes,
Yeah.
that's correct.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. So there you go. You can't sleep with them for a month. So it can't be that they just want them for sex. Otherwise, they'd sleep with them straight away.
Well, there's a very murky distinction between captives taken and people that you want as your wife. Like, were they prevented from sexual transgress? Because there is laws in there that basically say that if you sleep with a slave that is promised to another or not promised to you, basically, you have to make an offering at the temple in order to be cleansed of that. So we know that maybe the Bible didn't sort of, promote this or support this, but there was this kind of stuff going on, and all that you had to do was make an offering of, I can't remember the offering, I think it was a bullock or something at the temple, and it would be cleansed of your sin. So we do know this stuff did go on. Not that I would argue the Bible would support it, because it obviously had a penalty for it. So it was more trying to clamp down on the things that it knew was going on. But, whether or not sexual transgressions happened, you were still taking these people as involuntary workers for yourself, which by definition is slavery.
Well, no, again, JiL argues that, and he does it this way. He does it thus, right?
Thusly,
look,
yes.
He does it thus. He says, look, if the army comes in and they kill all the men, right, then what else have the women got? Of course they're going to voluntarily go with the soldiers, because they couldn't fend for themselves. They would just die otherwise. Because you know how fucking shitty women are. I think that's his basic argument there for it being voluntary when the women go back with to be slaves.
Yeah, I don't think there's any sort of reference to that. I don't think there's any reason to support that.
Reference.
Like you're just a stand-in for JiL at this time. I'm going to take the most favorable thing that I could possibly imagine. Yeah, I'm beginning to hate you, Simo. So I'm beginning to hate you, mate.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
I'm joking. But no, you're right. But I mean, the whole, and I think that the moderators were right. The fact that I could point out that there was blood slavery, there was people born into slavery, and the Bible sort of said, hey, if this woman gives birth while she and her husband is slave, those children become your property. He's done at that. He's done, because that is clear-cut case of somebody not voluntarily becoming a slave, but they're still born into slavery. There is no clearer case.
Well, okay. I mean, again, I'm going to push back here, because I think he's right when it says there is no sense in which it distinctly says it's involuntary. It implies it heavily, right? As I say, the beating thing is a heavy implication, as far as I'm concerned, that it is involuntary. And I would push him on that point, right? But all of the others, no, it doesn't say that. But that's all besides the point, of course, right? Because it doesn't say that it's all voluntary. So as much as he wants to say, well, it doesn't say it's involuntary, you could say, well, it don't say it's voluntary.
Right.
So what's your argument?
Well, we know from the scholars and the people who have studied the time that there was involuntary slavery around the place. It was normal for these cultures. And I'm not saying that that's their fault and they're terrible. It's just that was the normal state of affairs for these people. Like, it's perfectly normal.
Like I said, like I said,
Crazy.
the Romans employed a lot of people under JiL's definition.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
you know, I'm just saying, right? A few
And I
thousand
did-
people in Rome employed a lot of people.
And I did notice he didn't address the New Testament stuff either. He didn't address slaves obey your masters or anything like that. He just sort of, shied away from that, which is weird because usually when I've encountered people talking about slavery in the Bible, they will try and ignore the Old Testament as much as possible and go for the New Testament, right? Because it's a bit more unclear about the status of slaves in that time. There's a lot of evidence to suggest that the Hebrew kind of culture borrowed manumission from the Roman culture, that you could be freed by paying, a certain charge, and that would free people, kind of thing. You could buy people out of slavery. So it's a lot, seems to have changed over the time from the Old to New Testament, and that was a bit more reasonable. And then but it's weird. JiL ignores the New Testament and runs towards the Old Testament, where it's pretty clear.
What you need to know about JiL is that his position on things can change just within minutes, even in a debate, because in this debate he mentioned that slavery was basically abolished by the Christians in Europe, which you could say is correct because it was forbidden by the Catholic Church. And then later on in the debate, Slim Jim asked a question, and he was adamant pointing out that he wasn't a Christian. He was a raging Catholic. So when it's in his favor, then they are Christians. So when it comes to counting the amount of Christians on the planet, then you can add in the Catholics. When the Catholics do something that he agrees with, then they're Christian. I mean, this is how JiL works. But I do want to add one other thing, because we have Jay Patrick in the chat who isn't allowed to join the live stream because we all know his wife.
He's a slave.
Yes, he's a slave to his wife. If his wife is watching TV, he can join. He can join because he's making far too much noise. But he did ask, "Would you debate?"
Them, Jay. Don't listen to them. A happy wife is better than a happy Peter. Let me tell you that right now.
Yes, and his wife is
Peter. Did you say Peter or Peter?
I don't know. Peter.
Okay.
Peter.
Okay. Sounded like something else. I thought you were accusing him of something else there. Okay, moving on. Don't worry. Forget about the joke. Let's move on.
Yeah, I'm forgetting about the joke. But he asked if you were to debate JiL, and obviously his wife is a happy wife because he listens.
Yeah, there you go. And the ironic thing for me was, of course, that all of Europe after the Romans left.
Let him answer the question, Simons.
Who? There was a question there.
Mark.
Oh, I thought you were making a statement. You ended it on a statement, so I just thought that was that.
Jay asked this question: will Mark ever again have a debate with JiL? No. It is too much effort. No, it's not because of the debate. I thought that debate was actually fine. It was actually a reasonable debate. There was a bit of spiciness, but hey, that's why I'm here. That's why I'm on the internet. Bring it on. It was perfectly fine, and I did like the format. The problem was trying to get this debate set up, and the stuff that JiL wrote in the emails. I mean, Jay Patrick's got the email list, and it's just JiL being a complete
what you didn't know, Mark, is just before you had this debate, we went over that entire email chain with JiL.
Not really the entire email chain, but
well, not the entire, but most of it, the relevant parts at least.
Yeah,
showing what a liar he is. He canceled the debate twice, as you highlighted in the screenshots that you gave me. But JiL also sent what he said. He said you left a lot out when you did your video. So he sent Jefferson Spatchcock, Jay Patrick, and Carlton Winston and I the entire email chain, in which he left out the first 14 days. of the
I
back
think
and forth.
parts of it were left out because he was sending emails to me and sending with Debate Cafe CC'd in, and he was sending them to Debate Cafe
You said that,
me
yeah.
CC'd in. So when you look at the email chain, like when you request it from somebody, it may not have the other stuff in because it's to a different person.
No, but the thing is that he accused you of being dishonest because you left a whole lot out,
Yeah.
and then he sent the correct email chain, which has a whole lot left out. The first 14 days.
For the same reason. That's exactly what we're saying. I did say this at the time, that Mark did say that some of it was left out for the very reason.
Yeah.
But another point
did.
I just wanted to make was he said also in this thing that the reason, right, he thought it was cancelled is because you didn't respond for 2 weeks after he said the thing. Now we pressed him on this, and it turned out to be not 2 weeks. It turned out to be 3 days.
Yeah,
2 days.
So he cancelled. He said he thought you'd cancelled it because you didn't respond for 3 days.
Yeah, but I was waiting on Debate Cafe, and I'd made that perfectly clear. I was waiting on Debate Cafe.
I'm just saying, you know, this is how dishonest this person can be when it comes to him setting up and cherry picking what you say. So when he says, "I've won the debate," he won't say anything about him conceding all those points. He will only say that you conceded that there was no mention of it being involuntary. And that's why I was focusing on that point, because I know that that's what he's going to do, which is why actually what you need to do is go down the morality of saying, so you're saying that somebody will voluntarily let themselves get beaten as long as they don't die within 2 days. Now, that's the response you need to make when he says it's involuntary. Well, hang on a minute. That means they're voluntarily putting themselves in a position where they can be beaten for within an inch of their life, as long as they don't die.
The problem isn't that, like, I'm fine debating him, and you have a good point. Like I don't want to take away from your point, Simos. It's definitely, you know, I could have pinned him on that a lot stronger, and I think that's what you're saying. And I do agree. I could have pinned him on that point a lot stronger. I guess what I'm saying in answer to Jay Patrick's question is that trying to set this up, he was calling me a liberal. He was saying that I was trying to fool him by smuggling in condone. He was saying that I was being dishonest and doing this, and like just the worst kind of behavior from a really unprofessional guy. He's just a pain to work with, you know, like debating him is fine. He's just a pain to try and work with. You know, you sort of want to have a conversation with somebody and go, okay, what are the terms? How do we sort this out? Let's come to a compromise. And he's like, why are you trying to compromise? You're trying to fool me. It's like
no charity whatsoever for the atheist.
Right. Just you know, this whole paranoia, I would describe it as a paranoia that the person trying to sort out a debate is trying to fool him in some way. It's like, no, I'm just trying to get us to a place we can both agree on a topic and, you know, have a debate. 23 emails, 23 trying to set up this debate, which is just insane. That's just, you know, so that's the only reason I wouldn't debate him again, is because he's just a pain in the ass. He is. Oh, hello, Bree. Welcome, Buzz.
The over-talking as well gets to be annoying after a while, especially as he deflects from any question you ask him. There were so many times you asked him a straightforward question, and he started by not answering and then got further away. So by the end of it, you can't even go back to the question again. Can
I rant a little on that? Because the moderation was abysmal. I mean, I've never seen someone moderate this bad, to the point where both moderators completely left the building when you were asking for moderation. No one answered. No one did anything. Even when several people in the chat were calling them out, no stepping in when JiL was over talking. And that went on until the last part of the debate, where it's time for the debaters to shut up. and they allowed JiL to constantly interrupt even that and have a discussion, and in the Q&A, turning and answering a question from the chat into a restart of the debate. This is, I've never seen anything this bad. Sorry, I was just screaming at the screen.
Just want to add to that. I just want to add one thing quickly, which is to say there were quite a few questions in chat, and they don't get answered, and I think that needs to be accounted for in the time of the debate. If they're going to say we're going to answer people's questions, I think they need to leave a little longer. Myself, I've seen them do it before on other debates as well, but
the thing at the end,
timing wise, is not a great thing.
I think that wasn't the best time for them. So I'd like to just say something in their defense, but acknowledge that, yes, they probably could have done moderation a bit more stringently.
Well, I want to add two more things, because at the end, they said, I'm here, but I'm going away again. I'll be right back. If you run a channel and if you set up a debate, at least give the people the courtesy to be there for the entire time, and not at the end. So we'll have to wrap it up quickly because I need to tie my tie and I need to go do my laundry. If that's the case, don't start a channel. If that's the case, if you have a debate, plan it on a time where you can at least spend time on the debate. I found that really, really annoying. I'm sorry, but I've moderated debates. I've hosted debates.
Yeah.
I don't get this at all.
Have you seen this in other channels before?
Never.
Okay.
So the only thing close to that is, and she knows I'm going to say this because I said it, was a debate where Amy moderated, where Amy was just being too nice. But that even didn't come close to this, where one guy just basically took over the entire channel, and that is the part that I don't get.
So what was your other point? The time thing, and what was the other point?
The fact that both left during the debate. Okay. You were asking for them, for the mods, and none of them answered. And JiL was constantly over talking, didn't let you answer a single question, not a single one, at least for the first half of the cross-examination and the open conversation.
There were quite a few questions. There was quite a few questions in chat for you, but they were all slightly later on after they'd said, "Oh yeah, type your questions in chat." That's why I was a little bit like, "Yeah, come on now, don't say put your questions in chat and then not ask the questions, because that's just pissing the people in chat off."
So I
if you want a bigger audience, go ahead.
I do want to address this with something in their favor, and I agree. I felt that JiL was interrupting too much. He shouldn't have been interrupting cinematic psychology when she was going through the feedback portion. She's giving feedback, and he's just interrupting and arguing with her. It's like, this isn't the debate anymore. Like, just fucking stop. And eventually they muted him, but they let him go on way too long. However, I think at this point they were fucking over it, to be honest with you, because dealing with JiL was a traumatic experience at the very start, just emailing back and forward with him. Then they had to deal with me being mad because I was mad that they said that I'd not shown up for the debate, when clearly I knew the debate wasn't on, because that's what JiL said. Right. So I emailed them bloody furious because I was mad. And let me tell you, I mean, I try to be nice, and I'm a nice person, and I deal with people honestly. But if I'm mad at you, there won't be any confusion about it. Right. There's not going to be is Mark upset with? There'll be none of that. I mean, ask AJ. I first butted heads when I ran into him. If I'm upset at you, you're going to know about it, right? I'm going to tell you directly to your face that I'm not happy about this, right? And it's a bit of that. Yeah, it's a bit of a weird. It's a bit of a weird one, but I'm going to be honest about it. And I love Taylor. I think he's an awesome guy. It's just he did something that I made me upset, because I did not just not show up for that debate. That is not what happened, and I let him know.
Nope.
So did they have JiL to put up with, they also had me to put up with being angry at Taylor, and so there was a lot in that. I can understand if they were kind of over it by that point. JiL sort of said any Sunday, and I said, well, how about next Sunday? I don't think it was the optimal time for them, but they just went, screw it, we'll just have it, get it done and over with, kind of thing. And quite frankly, after dealing with JiL and being mad at the platform for sort of saying something I didn't agree with, I can kind of understand that they just want to get past it and beyond it and get it over and done with. However, I do acknowledge that they are fair complaints regarding the moderation and sort of leaving the stream and things like that. I do acknowledge that.
I've got to say something now as well in their defense, which is JiL is one of the hardest people to moderate, because you can tell him 1,000 times and he will not shut up. He literally has to be put backstage when we're at Brojo's, when we're debating, because he will not shut up. Right. And so debating JiL, right, was always going to go that way. If he's shown any weakness at all, he will pounce on it and use it as an advantage. What I really didn't like, I mean, I have to say this is personal, but what I didn't like was at the end she was saying, yeah, JiL, you're welcome here anytime. It's very entertaining. Right? Do you not understanding what entertaining is in a debate format? Because that wasn't it, right? That was drama.
That was a platitude,
that was fucking drama. No, she was drunk. Let's face it, right? Because only a drunk person would say to JiL that was an entertaining debate. Right?
Maybe.
Because it wasn't. It was a piss poor performance by him, because he conceded all the points. Right? He didn't understand what the actual debate was about in the first fucking place, because it says supports. Right? If he'd gone with condone, maybe he would have had a point about the involuntary part. Maybe.
But he
can't be proven.
Condone was trying to trick him, like.
I know. That's why he's a fucking idiot, right? But the point being is it says supports, right? And that's all that you needed to say. It doesn't matter whether it's voluntary or involuntary. You still have to concede that it's slavery, which he did in several different times, right? So, of course, the result was never in doubt. But JiL, that's all over JiL's fucking head. So now, her saying that at the end, well, you were very entertaining, that validates everything he did in that debate. All the interrupting, all the misdirection, all the lack of answering questions, the lack of listening to you and trying to actually answer you honestly and giving you charity. All of that, by the by, just because she said that at the end. So, I mean, I'm a little disappointed. She doesn't know JiL, so fair enough. It's not her fault. And maybe she was entertained by it. I don't know. But,
maybe.
Maybe. I don't know.
And plus, I think they did give him a bit of a generous score, to be honest with you. He was frigging awful. Like, if you're going to score somebody in a debate, I think 70 something is a bit generous. But maybe that's my.
Well, T-Jump got a 70 in his debate. So come on now. Are we saying that JiL is equivalent? No, JiL can't be equivalent to T-Jump.
No,
I'm sorry.
No,
I'm sorry.
No,
T-Jump is far too smart for that.
No.
Even on his worst day, T-Jump is never going to be as bad as JiL on his best day. Let's face it.
Well, on his worst day, T-Jump can be pretty, pretty spicy.
Yeah. No, he can be pretty non-committal to the debate, but
that one on Modern Day Debate where he was threatening to go smack some guy, that was pretty insane.
That was funny. Yeah, you're right though.
Wow, he wasn't sort of really casual then. He was very fired up. T-Jump has a moment. So when you say best day and worst day, I think you mean that.
Yeah, I do actually mean that. And JiL is such an idiot. I mean, some of the things. Let's have one of the sound bites from you, Peter, if you wouldn't mind. Right. This is the one we were talking. This is a soundbite that we have. I mean, we have many soundbites like this. This is just one of the stupid things that JiL likes to say from time to time. Okay, we were talking about
the longitude lines. Longitude are the lines that are going the long way, I would say.
Okay, longitude lines. Ones go the long way. Okay. How about another
Yes,
one?
your ancestors are your descendants.
Yeah, I've
Okay.
heard that one before.
These are just. I mean, this isn't even the half of it, right? This
Yeah.
is not even the
Mhm.
half of it. So
And I have
he backtracks on all of them.
I'll
You know what I mean?
for this one I'll be as honest as JiL is. I have another one that is relevant to the debate, and I have to stress I'm putting this up being as honest as JiL is. So here we go.
The definition of slavery is someone who is owned by another person. Therefore, the Bible condones slavery.
Okay.
And there we have it. That's JiL.
Yeah,
That's JiL for you.
so
JiL is a liar.
He's acknowledged before that the Bible condones slavery. Which is,
No. I said I'm going to be as honest as JiL is. So
okay.
This is a soundbite that I took where he was talking. He said it was about Matt Dillahunty. It wasn't. It was an entirely different conversation. But he was restating a point that someone had made, which is similar to the point that Matt Dillahunty makes. And I just cut that out, and I'm teasing him with it, as I am with obviously a form of slavery where, let's say, there's this dad, right? A really kind black man, a dad, real dad, who is in debt. And at some point, this dad figures out, hey, if I put my son to work, if I take him to work with me,
I know what this is now.
I get more done and more money, so he can help me pay off my debt. So that is what he does. And so this particular dad has a son who now goes by the name Jesus is Lord, aka JiL, aka Rebuke and Reprove. And this JiL fellow told us all about this, how he was involuntary put to work to help pay off his dad's debts. And since all of that happened in email, and we have all of that, or no, not in email, in the YouTube comments, and we have the screenshots, but he's still denying to this day that it was involuntary, even though that is what he claimed. Hey, Jeff.
He also claimed that his dad put him to work. Right? This wasn't about they didn't have any babysitters or anything like most normal dads, right? Most normal dads would go, "Yeah, I'll take my kid to work because then I don't have to pay for a babysitter." Right? I know, Peter.
He was taken to help pay off the debt.
I know, Peter. I'm not sort of. You said your point. Okay, I'm just saying, most normal dads would just describe it as, well, I can't afford a babysitter, so I'm just going to take my kid to work and he can sit on the side. And of course, I'm going to keep him entertained by making him do something every now and again, right? That would be normal, okay? But JiL can't see it that way because he's got to bend.
No, because this...
This is what I'm saying is the actual facts of the case, not what JiL wrote, because JiL is a liar.
Hold on. The thing that I'm wanting to point out is that JiL came up with this defense in an argument about slavery.
Yes, I know that, Peter. I'm just pointing that out, but you won't listen, will you?
Okay, well, I think we can all agree that JiL is got some weird ass views. I mean, what it brings to mind to me was him sort of saying, "Oh, but POWs are slaves, and people in Gitmo are slaves, and you know."
Yeah, they're not.
People are slaves. It's like, well, it's weird to make the claim that everybody enslaved in ancient Israel were all criminals, like every single one of them, kind of thing. It's such a weird stance to take.
Or employed.
But Mark, they were criminals. They were criminals against God because they denied him.
I don't think so. I sort of.
The slaves were.
Well, it's interesting because I'm pretty sure that JiL was critical of, I remember when Netflix had a documentary come out from Ava DuVernay about called The 13th, right? And it's about that kind of criticism of, slavery gets abolished in the United States, but then, there's this sort of like carve out where you can still kind of enslave people in prisons, right? And that's sort of the central kind of legal argument that's behind that. And if I remember correctly, he was critical of that entire thing. But when you get him talking about like POWs and things like that in the ancient world, he's, of course, naturally they're slaves. Or even if he compared them to people that were taken in, he tries to make an example every once in a while of like refugees out of Vietnam. They're owned by the United States government as property, so they're slaves. He said things like this in the back. I was just like, what are you talking about? Like that's not real.
That kind of, that 13th Amendment, that was his strongest argument. And I don't think he used it very well. I think you did refute it, but he did. That was his strongest argument, right? It does say in the Constitution, right, that slavery is endorsed for those that are, what's the word? Incarcerated for crime.
Yeah. Right, but his problem is
but that's not what it said.
But
that's what it said.
Yeah. He had it.
Hang on.
He had it on screen.
He'll make the similar argument, right? The same kind of argument that's being made by the producers of that documentary. But if somebody comes right out and says slavery is still alive and well in the United States today because of this, and they present it that way, right? This is a criticism on the United States. He'll defend the United States and say that that's not the case. It doesn't rise to the same level as slavery. Like he'll contradict himself. It just depends on how it's getting presented.
But correct me if I'm wrong, because he had the article on screen and it said slavery and indentured servitude.
Yes.
So you could argue that being imprisoned is a form of indentured servitude, not slavery. No, because you have to work off a debt. And as far as I know, I'm not entirely sure, but we have a similar thing here in the Netherlands where prisoners can be put to work.
Yeah,
that's a contribution to their housing and feeding.
Yeah, but when you read the 13th Amendment, right, and quite frankly, I don't know why the 13th Amendment matters to the debate at all, quite frankly, because that only applies to the United States and is not ubiquitous around the world, and certainly doesn't apply to ancient Israel. So what it says is neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, comma. So it's basically encapsulating that within a comma, like a sentence. Except as punishment for crime whereof the party shall have been duly convicted, shall exist within the United States or any place subject to their jurisdiction. So you could argue that slavery is permissible when it's as punishment for a crime where the party shall have been duly convicted. You could argue that, yes.
Yeah, I think that was his best point.
Yes, I would agree.
His best point to say, look, hang on, all of the slavery in the Bible is this kind of slavery, and therefore we accept it in the modern day. Why don't we accept it in the old day? Now, I'm granted that that's not the case anyway, all right? Yeah. But it's not a bad argument as arguments go.
It's bad because this only applies to the United States. It's not in any way sort of saying, and it's not how the amendment is interpreted. You sort of have to take a very sort of literal interpretation of it for that to sort of be.
And also, according to.
This wouldn't even cover, because then you have to make the leap to say every single slave in the Levant was indentured, criminal, basically, which is obviously not the case. But yeah, I get what you mean, Simos.
Well, again, we're back to the semantic of voluntary, involuntary. It doesn't say. The Bible is not clear, right? So yeah, could it be the case? Yes, it could be the case. That
highly unlikely.
I agree. I totally agree. In fact, with the voluntary, involuntary, we don't beat our prisoners, right? So it doesn't make any difference. The parallel isn't there. I'm just saying it's his best argument. I'm not saying it's a good argument.
You can also not buy a prisoner. And what I think why I think it's a bad argument is because when it comes to slavery, JiL will tell you, well, the antebellum slavery, that was completely different from anything in the Bible. So if it's completely different, then how is the 13th Amendment relevant to you? Because that is talking about the slavery in the antebellum slavery period. That is what it's talking about. He also, and Simons, you can elaborate on this. The Geneva Convention is something that the people in the Bible actually respected. Did you know that, Mark? I didn't know that.
Yeah, and it's the weirdest part, and I got to say this, the weirdest part I found was him bringing up Westbrook, who is actually in favor of viewing what happened there as slavery. And he brings up a passage that says not only were slaves referred to as slaves, but also subordinates were referred to as slaves. And it's like, you do realize that you have used a quote that has directly contradicted your position.
It was fucking hilarious. That's where he first lost the debate. That was hilarious. And the fact you picked it up like that, and then he went back to it and cherry picked the line again, and then you just read the line before again. Oh, it's fucking hilarious. I've got to say, Pat is cracking me up in the chat as well. I just want to say, Pat, by JiL's definition, the Romans were one of the first mass employers in the ancient world, by the way.
A lot of volunteering going on for the gladiator arenas and things like that.
Yeah, a lot of people.
They were the original job creators.
Yeah, you had to fight them off with a sword. There were so many.
Wow. No, actually, that was my favorite part of the debate, where he pulled up that comment by Westbrook, that quote by Westbrook, and it just completely and utterly 100% disagreed with him, and I had to point it out because he wasn't reading it. That was my favorite part.
Twice.
Yeah, twice.
Yeah.
Fucking idiot.
That's the funny part. Even after you pointed that out, he pulled it up again.
Yeah.
You see, that's what he doesn't listen. He just does not listen.
Where is he now? Does anyone know? Is he in some?
He's at Brazos apparently.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I think Jefferson, as you and I both know, he will at this moment be setting up several email chains in which he will basically state how he won and how terrific of a debater he is, and you and I both will get an email pretty soon if we don't have one already.
Yeah.
Well, again, Mark did say that it doesn't say that it's involuntary. Mark admitted that there was nowhere does it say it's involuntary in the Bible,
except with the, fathers selling their daughters. That's where I said it was explicitly involuntary.
Does it say that it's involuntary?
Oh no, I'm sure that the pregnant woman's fetus decided that they did want to be enslaved voluntarily.
Well, now it doesn't say that it's involuntary though. You don't understand, right? You guys, you just misinterpret the Bible. That's because you're atheists.
Do you know a fetus's mind? Do you know that fetus didn't want to be enslaved? Did you know?
That's why that's the only argument back when he says it.
What about
it doesn't say it's voluntary.
What about the right of the unborn to choose to be born into slavery and perpetuity?
There you go again.
You say you're pro-choice and you're taking away the choice of the fetus to be enslaved. What are you doing? Hello, Amy. Lovely to see you.
I totally. I'm waiting to see those emails, Peter. I'm gonna say it's gonna be JiL complaining about, Mark, it's your fault. This soy-soaked beta Aussie lib cuck got slavery wrong.
Yeah. And worse, Jefferson, because of Mark, we have to pay his gas.
Yes, exactly.
Oh my God. Oh,
It
you
was
would have
funny because I talked to Jay, like your brother, for 2 seconds before. Like it really was nothing. Like they just went, "Oh yeah, this is what JiL is like," and then he's sort of trying to infer that Jay's putting me up to this and that and the other. And I'm like,
yeah.
I spoke to the dude for like 20 minutes or something. Like I don't.
He is conspiracy mad, JiL, as well. I have to say.
Liberal conspiracy, absolutely.
It's Jill's disrespect for my brother is directly proportionate to the level of bedazzlement powers that, like, Jay is like some kind of like atheist Matahari. He dripped this poison into your ear and turned you into this sleeper agent designed to go onto channels and debate the slavery and the Bible thing on his behalf.
I mean, I got to say as well, Jay has absolutely trashed JiL in Brojo's a couple of times.
Yeah.
Absolutely trashed him. Made him look like the laughing mockery that he should be. So I got to say that Jay's funny with that.
Jay's really good, but that's not that hard. Like serious. It's
not really.
One of the funniest things to me is that Jay will do a stream on JiL, and then JiL will come into the back room, and Jay will keep telling you, "I'm not letting you in. I'm not letting you in," and he will stay there. He will stay there like a little puppy that doesn't know where to go. Because they're talking about him and he can't be petted. It's
yeah, there you go.
Poor JiL.
But he does have some pretty disgusting views as well. So let's not all. I mean, it's all fun and games, but when it comes down to it, he can be pretty sick. So
you know what? For the record, though, just for the record, I expected this debate to be 10 times worse than what it actually was. No lie, because I mean, I've run into people like Mr. Batman, for instance, who you just cannot say 2 words, literally 2 words. You know, I thought this would be way worse. I'm actually quite happy that JiL sort of reined himself in, I guess.
Yeah.
Mr. Batman, I remember I was in a Discord because I'd heard it before, and I'd heard clips of him engaged in like topical discussion where he kind of focused on things. And then somebody was like, well, he hangs out at this particular Discord server. I went over there, and one day he was in there, and no one was debating anyone. He was just sharing episodes of his life, and they were genuinely disturbing. I was like, this guy, like, I wouldn't be surprised if somebody was, I'm like, should somebody be calling like a welfare check on this guy? Because there's something's wrong here. Like it was bad. Ugh, yeah.
Okay. Is that the story about the special needs girl on the bus?
Yes, I think it was that one. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That is particularly disgusting.
Yep.
Yeah, he doesn't seem like a very nice kind of person. He seems very unstable to me, but you know, that's not a professional opinion. That's just, you know.
No, I think a lot of these guys seem to like have real anger management problems. Him and Darth Dawkins and Neffy, and there's quite a few actually that have got anger management problems.
I'm curious, is his wife still an atheist? Because at some point he told people that his wife was an atheist.
Mr. Batman.
Yeah, Mr. Batman.
Oh,
I'm not really familiar with him. I don't know. I've only run into him on Modern Day Debate. I've never really, you know, interacted with him a little.
That could explain the anger a little, because if you're an apologist and you can't even convince your own wife, then you're not really doing a good job, are you? I mean,
yeah, but I mean, there's been cases of people, you know, having, you know, non-believing.
Yeah, but if you're a
really shit apologist, though, then of course your wife is going to eventually go, do you know what? That's a load of shit.
Yeah.
It'd be like one of those flat earthers whose wife just thinks they're so full of shit, you know.
Goes, oh yeah. At the beginning, it's all like lovey-dovey. Yeah, flat Earth, that's brilliant. I didn't know that. Halfway through, it's like, just go down the fucking road and get the milk. You cunt. I don't want to hear about that shit.
That's why I think so many flat earthers broadcast from like their cars and stuff. You know, like because there was this one guy called and he like had white hair and he was literally in the kitchen. and his wife says, "Get the fuck out with that stuff," like just get out. And like these next few broadcasts, he's in his car, kind of thing, and it's like,
oh, brilliant! That's a really good observation.
You got to figure that for them,
Yeah.
it's like, I mean, at their most patient, it's like, oh, this is kind of weird and idiosyncratic. It seems a bit whimsical, but then you try to get on a plane with that person and they're hyperventilating because they're convinced it's real. I'm like, okay, this got really fucked up really quickly. Like, this is exhausting. Like, yeah.
Well, you ever thought, what would you say to your wife or husband or whatever if they suddenly converted to flat Earth? Like, how you would deal with that situation? Like, or did the dinosaurs aren't real, or the world is 6,000 years old, kind of thing? I don't know how I would deal with that. I don't know.
Other than sending them to a psychiatrist, you mean?
Well, I mean, there's plenty of people that see psychiatrists that don't think the Earth is flat. Let's face it. Like,
no.
How would you broach that conversation exactly? I've thought about this before. Like, not that my wife ever would. She's too smart for that. But yeah, it's a question, right?
Yeah, I had a landlord once who was incredibly well read, and a pretty smart guy, I thought, when I first met him and stuff. And a couple of years in, I found that he was like believing in all sorts of weird stuff, right? Consciousness of water drops, like what's the 0 point energy machines, all sorts of fucking weird shit, right? And I was like, I mean, I was a stronger atheist then than I am now, right? And I was like, I looked on his computer screen, and he had these images of water drops which were in a certain pattern, which showed that they were conscious, right? And I looked at it and I went, I recognize that. Oh yeah, that's an art project that some guy did, and he took like 4,000 shots and picked out 6 of these water drops. All right, so they all had the same shape, right? And then claimed in his thesis, inverted commas, his art thesis, that water was conscious because it always made these shapes when you did this kind of experiment, right? And that was his art project. And I knew it, and he was convincing one of the girls that was staying. This is why I came out, because he was convincing one of the girls that was staying with us, that was in the house, renting another room. And she was sitting there lapping it up, going, oh, wow, that's amazing. I didn't know that. Water conscious. And I'm like, that's an art project, don't you? And she was an art student. And so she just went straight away, Googled it, found out that it was, and never listened to another thing he fucking said. God, he hated me.
Okay, Simon, since you're so smart, take on the last comment that Pat put in the side chat.
Who did? Pat did.
Pat Lowinger.
She might be praying for him to have an accident.
Yeah, that was it. No, the one before.
Oh, okay. That wasn't the last one.
His wife is an atheist because if there was actually a God, she'd be divorced. Oh my God. I mean, I don't think she minded. She didn't mind for the first part of the marriage. It's when he started getting her to dress up as Robin that the problem started, I believe.
Why Batman anyway? Like, I don't understand. Is his last name Batman? Because that is a real last name, right?
He's just obsessed. No. It's not his last name. He's just obsessed by Batman. All things Batman. He saw the film. He loved the film. That's it.
Mr.
Everything Batman.
For me, it's the Mr. part at the beginning that really just because like Mr. Batman is like, I don't know what that is. It's like a spoof punk band or something. Like, it's just a weird name. Like, I'm not just Batman. You can call me Mr. Batman. Like, yes, sir.
Oh my God.
Who knows?
But yeah, I mean, there was another thing as well, because like back in the day before he was Mr. Batman, he used to go by his real name. And he used to come in and say the same. No, even before that, he used to go by Jim. Before he was Christian Hillbilly, and he used to come in and he'd say, "This is when he was Christian Hillbilly as well." but he used to come in and he'd say this like, "Oh, go the Lord Jesus," and his southern drawl or whatever, you know what I mean? And the Lord Jesus be with you, yee-haw! And he always do this really fake yee-haw at the end of his fucking little prayer when he first came in. And so after a while, I just thought, I've got to fucking do this. So I go, yeehaw. Every time he did it. Yeehaw, Jim. Okay, so you do realise that you're talking shit, right? Yeehaw. You know, you do understand.
I really,
you know.
I really hope that I run into Mr. Batman sometime soon, because I will come prepared with that.
Yeah, lovely. Good.
That's terrible, Peter. That's absolutely terrible. Robert, thank you so much. And it's
Yeah,
good to
thank
see
you,
you, Robert. Yeah.
Nice to see you. Next Monday for the we're back on my channel, Robert, Simon's Funk, for the Fabio and Funk stuff, by the way.
Oh, that's starting back up, is it? I thought you were sort of
No.
Oh, okay.
We didn't stop. We're just back on my channel rather than being on the Fabio and Funk channel.
Oh, gotcha.
It's just too much work to keep changing channels. So.
No, that's fair. Yeah, totally.
And we get more views on my channel, so.
Right. Yeah, I sort of did one gaming video and sort of, I don't know, it just, ish. But I thought I might do another channel for it. But I couldn't be stuffed like maintaining 2 channels. That seems like a lot of work.
Yeah, that's right. And it depends what you want out of it. You know, if you really want to get monetized and stuff, then there's a few rules you need to follow and stuff. But generally, if you don't really care about it too much, then it doesn't matter. If you want to do some gaming sometime, Mark, then let me know. We'll go and do some gaming, you know.
Yeah, maybe.
It's all good. I'm sure you got the money to throw at it. Thank you.
Yeah. So call it to Simos if you do like DayZ, I think it is that you do.
DayZ I play, yeah, and I'm playing Hell Let Loose at the moment.
Can you tell I'm from the Commonwealth, DayZ?
Yeah. Hell Let Loose is another one, and of course the Formula One show on Mondays.
Yep. And I'm going to Peter's channel as well, because Peter's channel is amazing.
Amazingly silent.
Well, you know, you do Aaron Ra stuff, and you know, you do a lot of.
So the reason I haven't done a lot lately is basically because my dog wasn't doing that well, and I wanted to spend as much time as I had, knowing that it wouldn't last that long. So, and yeah, so that part is over. So now I need to get back to making some content again.
Mm-hmm. What are you thinking of doing?
I need to pick up where we left off. So I still need to have you on, because we have a show where we talk to atheists, and I think you might be a really good guest to have on the channel.
What's your definition of atheism, Mark?
My definition of atheism is
Simus.
Somebody that doesn't believe in God as a colloquial definition, but I do acknowledge that there are multiple definitions. The word is polysemous. It can change. I acknowledge that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, because I was having this conversation with Leo, who's just sort of, you know, I don't think
Simus will now explain how wrong you actually are, because that is not the definition according to the Holy Pope of Agnosticism.
No, I disagree with him. I disagree with Ozzy.
Okay. No, I thought
I'm a strong atheist, unlike yourself, Peter. I am a strong atheist, and
I'm a strong atheist.
No, you're not.
No. I'm a strong atheist.
No,
I kind of. All right. Well,
no, you're not. Not if you say you don't believe God exists. That's not strong atheism.
No. I believe God does not exist.
Oh, okay. That is strong atheism.
Me too.
How dare you question my strength, sir?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was convinced of this
not
by
really
by
true.
sort of talking with Amy and talking with the people over
Oh.
there. That because provisionally, I mean, every single mind we've seen needs a brain, and it seems to be that a mind is a emergent system from a brain. You know, we
Yes.
kind of understand that's where the mind comes from. So why wouldn't I say to be a mind you have to have a brain, at least provisionally so, based upon everything that we've seen?
Yeah, I mean that's a black swan fallacy, obviously.
No, because it's provisional. It's not necessarily the
Oh,
case.
you're good, aren't you? You are good.
What? Were you testing me or something? You
I was,
bastard.
yes.
Simos.
Yeah, and it's too bad that Praise has flip-flopped again, because he did a debate with Godless Girl, and during the entire debate he stated categorically that God does not have a brain, he does not have a mind, and he doesn't have thoughts.
That is a potential
Weird.
definition for God, though, and so that's why it kind of is a black swan fallacy. But
Yeah.
But he's now back in Darth Dawkins's camp, so now all he can talk about is the thoughts that God had. So
yeah,
he's already come back from that.
I've never heard a decent definition of God which doesn't include a mind.
Correct. Yeah, same.
So
Yeah.
I'm just like, yeah, whatever. You know, if you're saying that God has no mind, then just by Occam's razor, you can say that it's not necessary. So there's nothing that can be explained by invoking God. So it's
But
pretty
if
pointless.
God doesn't have, if he doesn't have a mind and he doesn't have thoughts, then how could he create anything?
Sure. Well, you're saying he. See, when you say he, you're queering the pitch there.
Well, in this case, I'm referring to the God that Praise put forward, which is the Christian God, which is by definition a he,
Sure.
because he's
That's-
referred to as a he.
Sure, that's local atheism, though. That's not strong atheism.
Isn't it interesting though that for praise will sacrifice the mind of the god before he'll sacrifice its gender? Isn't that kind of
That is.
that's quite weird. That's a good point.
I don't know how
Yeah.
you are supposed to say that God doesn't have a mind and propose the God of the Bible is true, because there's so much intention and will described in the Bible. I would find
The Bible
it almost
literally,
possible.
the Bible literally says that God has thoughts.
Yeah.
There are
What
several
words?
verses that refer to God thinking and God having thoughts. So I looked them up.
There's
I
a kind of
don't have them
argument
at
against
hand.
that, but I mean, you know, basically all analogies fail because we're human. So any words that we use are going to be human words and aren't necessarily.
Yeah, but that is
don't
your
necessarily
response.
apply.
That is your response.
No,
Praise
actually,
isn't that smart. And I had all those verses pulled up, but I got kicked from the stream long before I could get to that. And he wouldn't have had your answer. He would
Well,
not
I mean,
have
I've
had
heard
your,
it from
honestly.
apologetics. I've heard it from apologists. So, I mean, there is a technical word for it, but I can't remember what it is offhand because, like, I'm too stupid these days.
Technical word for what?
Well, the idea of all the words we use are human words, and they don't. The analogies are very loose and don't necessarily apply. They're just in some
Yeah,
semblance.
I know what is it. Spiralakia. I can't remember the word. I know exactly what you're talking about, though.
Yeah.
I cannot remember.
It's been that many years since I heard someone. It was Matt Bell basically that gave me that argument eventually at one point, and of course he's been banged up in jail for like 6 years now. So.
Actually, someone brought up something interesting. It was like, why are the atheists the ones showing their faces while all of the theists are not? Yeah. So, any thoughts on that? Because I was like, yeah, it is kind of odd.
Matt Bell.
Yeah, definitely.
When it comes to JiL, I've got an easy answer, because some of the positions that he holds, if that would get out, even in his circle, he might not be a happy buddy.
Yeah.
Because He has some.
It was easier. It was actually one of the things in his favor when he would make claims that he's an educator, and people would be like, "Yeah, there's no way that this guy is." And I'm like, "Well, the
He's
one
not a
thing that
fucking-
might actually kind of support that is that he jealously guards his privacy, especially like he never shows up on camera, and that would be consistent because even if he's a substitute teacher, if just a fraction of his vocalized
not.
views made it
Right.
out, he wouldn't be teaching.
He's not. It's his wife. His wife doesn't want him to be on camera in case it
Mhm.
reflects on her that he's such an idiot, and she married an idiot.
That
wife-
and she
His
could get
wife
into
is in
trouble.
charge in that relationship. I can assure
if
you.
Yeah,
And
but
if
that's
she's
not
an
biblical.
educator and he is saying that, depending on where she's an educator, she can get
Yeah.
into trouble by proxy.
Yeah,
So-
that's,
But that's
probably more likely. It went in,
That
again
is
in
not
Tom's.
biblical.
In Tom's,
That's not
right?
biblical.
He
His
went on-
wife has to submit to him just like he
Realize.
submits to Jesus. So,
Yes.
and his wife telling him what to do is very unbiblical, and I do think that Jesus is Lord would not hold to that.
Yes. One of the things in Tom's was that they wanted to know when he said he's a teacher, right? The next question out they wanted to know was, so what's your education? If you're a teacher, tell us what you teach. Oh no, you wouldn't tell it. Oh, I teach maths and I teach the. Okay, so what qualifications do you have in maths? He would say, well, I've got 2 degrees, but I'm not going to tell you because it's like doxing. I don't want you to know who I am, right? And they said, well, it's not doxing. Just tell us what you got. No, he wouldn't tell them. Years later, it comes out. He's got a degree in construction management.
Really? Okay.
That's allegedly what his degree is in, which is fair enough. He's got one. I don't think a degree is the right word to call it. Exactly.
Is that an associate's degree? That's usually more like a 2-year program.
I would think it's like he's been on a work site and someone said, "Oh, we can do this course if you want for free," and he's done a 6-month course. Oh, you're
Guess who
muted,
popped
Mark.
up? Guess who popped up in chat? The construction
muted. There he is.
manager. The construction manager who cannot construct an argument.
Mark, you're muted.
The man of the hour, and welcome, Leo. Welcome, and I want to say hello to Hannah. Hannah's awesome. Do
Hannah is awesome.
Love Hannah. And JiL has popped up. Damage control ? It was fun, Mark. I'd love to do a part 2. I think I don't really want to have any more emails with you, JiL. You're such difficult to work with, seriously. But no, not really damage control. I mean, I got 91 in the debate score. What did JiL get? Somebody remind me. Somebody tell me.
Oh, I think it was 308 or
really?
70.
Wow.
It was either that or 76. I can't remember which one
308
exactly.
Yeah.
I can't remember. 376 or 76. Oh no, 308 or it was 76, Mark.
Yeah, just for your information, JiL, we're just discussing how you sort of agreed to everything that and conceded the entire debate.
Oh, you lost the debate early on.
Yeah, and I'm sorry to sort of, ask straight up questions and have you concede, but that's the way it goes, mate. That's the way it goes.
Yeah. And Jefferson and I still don't have an email of you declaring a win, which is odd. You're late.
Oh, hey, there's the night's still young, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Since you're in chat, what do you think was your best point, JiL? Just out of interest.
Yeah, I'd like to know.
Just write out what you think your best point in the debate was. Anyway, hello, Leo. How you doing?
Howdy.
Did you see the debate and what did you think?
I did. It was exactly what I expected it was going to be. JiL bloviating the whole time and not really saying anything at all. And Mark was saying, "No, that's kind of dumb. Let me explain why."
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Do you think there's anything I could improve, Leo? Do you have any sort of feedback for me?
Actually, no. I think it was just a well-rounded performance.
Oh, thanks, mate. And I do want to thank everybody for tuning into the debate. It was really good. It felt good. You know, the start was a bit of a clusterfuck, but it felt good by the end. It was really good. So I had a blast. And thank you so much for all coming and supporting me. And you know, it was fun. It was fun. I enjoyed it.
Another little funny point out there where JiL claimed that we were there. Everybody was there, or such high numbers were there because of him. Because he was so entertaining. And I thought, I just straight away, I just wrote in the chat, I'm here for Mark Reid. And then in the chat, I'm here for Mark Reid. I'm here for Mark Reid. I'm here for Mark Reid.
Well, I didn't even know the debate was
praise.
happening.
Apart from praise, were there any other Christians in the chat? Because I didn't notice any.
Oh, yeah, no, there was a guy
I don't
called
think so.
Kevin Biblical.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Kevin's biblical discussions. That guy.
Yeah, that was the
Yeah.
one that I wrote. Oh, Kevin Biblical Discussions is a sock of JiL. Never heard from him again. And then well-regulated militia came up as well. Oh no, rebuke and reprove came up, of course. So yeah, there you go. A lot of JiL socks were in the chat apparently.
Well, at one point, JiL said, I couldn't remember something, but then the Holy Spirit reminded me. And I thought he was talking about somebody else. I was about to say, why are you getting help from someone else? And then I thought, no, he's actually talking about the Holy Spirit reminding him of something. It's the weirdest way to describe like remembering something I've ever heard.
I was going to say, that's kind of cheating if it was the Holy Spirit, right? I mean, an omniscient being. Come on,
how come
fair.
he gets God in his corner giving him all this? I need to be able to find a friend as well. Like,
what you should have said is, are you a slave to Jesus? That would have been debate over.
Well, it's not whether he is, it's whether the Bible supports him being a slave to Jesus. So that's the issue. Does the Bible support JiL being a slave to Jesus? Oh, Big Screen Bird, it's totally fine, man. Like, I totally get you. Thank you so much for dropping in. Not a problem. And big shout out to James Wolf. He's awesome. Doorknob Head. Thank you. Yeah. What a crew. Like, I've got to show you this comment. What a crew I've got on there today. Yeah, absolutely. Look at these people. All come out for me. It's fantastic. No, I'm joking. I know you guys have nothing better to do. I know that.
We were thoroughly entertained. That's it by you, Mark. Thoroughly entertained.
I'm glad I could.
I have to admit, I haven't watched it yet. I didn't get the notification for the debate, so I missed it.
It's all good, mate.
I think we could recreate it for you if you want.
I think we did a little bit.
Hang on a minute. Mark, just say your opening a second.
Hold on. Where's my PowerPoint?
No, not your actual opening. Just say some blurb. Doesn't matter.
Oh, okay. Yeah, my name's Mark Reid, and we're going to be debating.
Yeah, well, that's right for you to say, but you're an atheist, and you don't know fucking shit. There we go.
He wasn't. In fairness, he wasn't that bad. Come on, like, he wasn't that bad. But no,
I thought it was pretty accurate.
Full prop. He was terrible at the start, overtalked at the start. He kind of settled down towards the end. I think it was after the questions and stuff like that. I think he kind of, the question was, how many times did he have to tell him that, like, this isn't his question time? Like, when I was asking him questions and he just kept asking them back, it's like, that's not how any of this works. Now, keep in mind, at no less than 4 different occasions, right? No less than 4 different occasions, he was like, it must have a cross-examination in this format. And everybody told him at least 4 times the format already includes a cross-examination. He would go on to email, no, it must include a cross-examination.
Yeah.
It was
and then he just avoided every question he possibly could.
Yeah.
But at the
and
beginning,
starting
he
his questions.
Them, but, honestly, by the end of it, he realized he was knackered and absolutely just like started bloviating just to eat up the clock, And then when it got to the end of his one, he still bloviated to stop you bloviating You know what I mean? It was,
Yep.
Mark's just going to bloviate, so I'm actually going to just talk now because Mark is just going to bloviate and use all of my time up. So I'm just going to keep talking.
Yep.
You know, oh my God, please.
And well, the thing was, he wasn't asking questions; he was just making statements. And
Yeah.
every now and again, I'd say, "Is there a question anywhere in here?"
Yeah.
Because, like, and I didn't mind because the questioning is where you actually show the vulnerabilities of your opponent, right? You can actually ask questions. But if he's just going to talk, he's wasting his own time. Like, it's so like he didn't get the whole idea of it. He didn't get the concept at all.
I liked when he said you got to ask questions. He went, oh yeah, no, I'm getting to my question. And he repeated the whole fucking monologue again, which was a statement, and then said, oh, and my question is, what do you think of my statement?
Yeah.
That's not really the kind of question we had in mind, dude. Anyway, Hannah says we go back over 10 years ago. My word, has it been that short a time? I've enjoyed every interaction with you ever, Hannah. So you're wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah, Hannah's amazing. She's
yes,
very
she
good
is.
friend.
She is.
10 years. You've been involved with this bunch of miscreants for 10 years, Hannah. You deserve better. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, yes. Yeah, I have to point out something Jason says. Bring Bernie Sanders into it.
No, Joe Biden, right? What is that? In the chat halfway through, I wrote, I voted for Bernie Sanders. No, for Joe Biden. Did you?
You know what you should have done, Mark? You should have said, hey, Joe, just quick question. And you should have said it exactly like this. Do you love black people?
Oh dear. Yes.
Oh dear.
I assume that Mark was a liberal. Yeah, that's also a good one.
So I'll just explain how stuff works in Australia. There's two parties. We've got a two-party system, just sort of like America. The one that you would call Democrats is called the Labor Party. The one that you would call Republican is called the Liberal Party.
Right.
So when you call somebody a liberal in Australia, you're saying you are a conservative, like you are a Republican is what you're saying. So I don't think he understands that these terms that he uses are American terms. Like they don't mean anything to anybody else. They do, but like it's just...
I had a long exchange with him. I was in a conversation. I think I've tried discussing this with him on 2 separate occasions. And I tried telling him, I'm like, there's a reason why some of the literature over here says like the whole neoconservative movement. But when you read commentary about this from, say, just Canada or the UK or Australia, at Western Europe, they call it neoliberal. Even in Asia, it's neoliberal.
Oh, yeah,
when I tried to explain that to him, he just blew it off. He just thought I was spinning up some. I was just trying to.
You're gaslighting him.
I'm like, yeah. Like, all right. Okay.
That was the funniest
thing.
thing.
You know what term you should use just to really fuck with his mind? You should use the term bourgeois.
Bourgeoisie.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, Leo, you fucking hit a nail there. Oh my God.
But what was I gaslighting about? This is the crazy
irony. Like, it's irony, isn't it?
Yeah, that was one of the funniest things he says is he kept accusing you of gaslighting.
If my opponent wasn't gaslighting all the time, also I'm not gaslighting, but he is. You know. Also, another point, he's wrong. He's an atheist. Also, he's a libtard. Also,
gaslighter.
L plus ratio plus gaslighter.
Unbelievable.
Take that, Mark.
Oh dear. Yeah, wow.
You use that word, but I don't know. I don't think you know what it means.
That's the one question they had on screen, I think, at the end, and wasn't asked to JiL. Can you define gaslighting? So I'm pretty sure that he wouldn't have been able to.
Yeah.
There were loads of really funny questions in the side chat.
When somebody asked JiL,
really
hey, can you define gaslighting for me? His response is, you're gaslighting me with that question.
Yeah.
Gaslightception, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh dear, yeah. Well, that was definitely some fun.
I think I wrote a question for you, Mark, which is something like let me just think about it a second.
Yeah, in your own fucking time, mate.
Yeah. Would you condone JiL as your slave under biblical definition? Would
JiL,
you? Yeah. Would you
I don't
condone
think I
JiL
wanna
being
know
your slave
JiL
under
biblically,
biblical definitions?
condone JiL under the biblical.
I think he's
no,
too
I
stupid to be a slave. Like what could he do?
Yeah, I would not condone that. No.
Well, Leo, you can send him out to annoy people.
He
He's
can
pretty
manage.
good at that.
He can manage your
Yeah, there
construction
you go.
company, at least apparently on paper.
Yeah.
I would send him out to light the street lights.
But at least he'd be obedient because he wouldn't realize he's a fucking slave in the first place. Mate. Just
I'm curious.
Yeah, exactly.
He would think
Can't
it was.
wait.
It
Can't
would
wait.
just,
Jeff,
he'd
don't you
he's just
think
an
he would
NBA
fire
player.
all the liberals? Jeff?
What's that?
Don't you think he would fire all the liberals if he was put in charge?
Oh, sure, yeah, but he wouldn't be able to safely identify anybody. Yeah,
No, but he'd be like, I can't wait to get to the end of my life so I can get paid. Oh, just think, it's going to be amazing.
But that was the weird part with Abraham making the guy like inherit his money. It's like,
He's the Bill Gates. Abraham is the old Bill Gates of the ancient world.
yeah.
Fucking, what
Wait.
a dick.
He said,
Simon, did your balls crawl back up there or something?
Man, I'm telling you, that
Yeah,
was
Jill did say, yes, he did say that Abraham was the Bill Gates of his time. Of the
my-
ancient.
"Oh,
I don't,
good
what does that even
Lord."
mean? What is that supposed to mean?
Apparently. That's the context I got from it, was that he was a rich entrepreneur kind of thing.
Well, if he's Bill Gates, where's his equivalent Steve Jobs as a foil? Like, where do you find him in the ancient world?
Oh,
No
my God.
idea.
Who was the Jeff Bezos of the ancient world? That's what I want to know.
Yeah,
Jefferson,
my
you have to ask where the Steve Jobs was. Haven't you heard of this guy who promoted Apple in the Bible?
Oh, yeah. I saw a funny sketch about that. But this
Very
guy
early
comes
on.
Steve Jobs
He
comes
was
on.
the third. He was the third guy in the Garden of Eden.
weird guy,
Promoting
long
Apple.
torso, no legs.
I saw a funny
like
sketch with that,
trees.
right?
Yeah.
Steve Jobs comes on, right, to do a presentation, and he goes, yeah, what have I told you? I've got something that would make your shoes feel really soft. Right? And he goes, I'm wearing, what have I told you? I'm wearing one now. He lifts up his leg and goes and points to his sock and goes, it's an eye sock. Right, and everyone goes, way, fucking brilliant. Right, and he goes, yeah, they come in 3 sizes, 6-inch, 8-inch, and 12-inch. Now, what if I told you they could hold your music? And he gets the CDs and shoves them in the side of a sock. And he goes, it can also hold a magazine. And stuffs that in the sock. And then the crowd go absolutely mad. Eye sock. And what's best, they're only compatible with one type of shoe. Anyway, go on. Sorry, that's it. Made me laugh. Eye sock.
Actually, Jefferson had to apologize for streaming me on Apple the other day. Wasn't that right? Like,
I did, yeah.
yeah.
Well, people started like, doing like Linux. Yeah, they're like, Linux power pose and stuff in the live
Linux
chat.
master race. Yeah.
I've never owned a MacBook in my life. I just bought one recently because I was having, I don't know, I just had bad luck with some Windows laptops, and I'm not a fan of Windows 11. I'm like, you know what, I'm going to try one. I bought one. Yeah. I mean, the build quality is great, but I'm mixed opinions on the actual software. So we'll see. Still working with it. But I
Okay.
was going to ask, because I do need to get going here. It's getting kind of late over here. But
Sure.
somebody in the live chat after you had left, Mark, named you Mark of the Beast Reid, and I just thought, if there's an opportunity for you to maybe rename your YouTube channel, because I thought it would be hilarious. I was telling my brother, I'm like, yeah, just ask Peter to get you a bunch of like Scandinavian death metal looking graphics, and then your intro video just looks like Mark of the Beast Reid, and then you show up wearing a shirt, sweater. I'm like, hello everybody, let's have a reasonable conversation about submission. Just like oh yeah, I was expecting something very different here.
It's I don't know if I get into Satanic Temple, I'll definitely consider it. No, that's
good.
cool.
Okay, good.
We all have our nicknames kind of thing. I mean, Leo's got the lion thing going on, and Peter's got the I don't know, like Stargate
Old guy vibes going on, something like that.
Old guy vibes. Peter, nah.
I've got the butchered poultry thing going. That's my thing.
Yeah.
In space.
And Simon, I don't know. What is he supposed to be is that a naval commander? I don't know what that's supposed to be.
No, that's no. That's no. That's one of my forefathers.
I'm sure it is.
One of my ancestors.
Yeah. Does it look like you?
It does look like me, yes.
Yeah.
It does. He's a direct descendant, yes. So.
Well, it's about lunch for me as well, so I might wrap it up. It's about 1 o'clock here, and I'm starting to get hungry. But thank you so much for calling in. I really appreciate it. It was a lot of fun. I had a blast.
Yeah, we did as well. Some of the things JiL said tonight was fucking hysterical.
Oh, look,
as always.
You absolutely pawned him. I mean, my goodness. I mean, to be honest with you, I actually thought he was your slave halfway through that debate because you owned him. You owned him so hard.
Mark supports slavery. See how he owned.
But anyway, I'm not saying anything racist there. You know what I mean? JiL says he's white anyway. At least he has a sock called White Power, so I assume he's white.
Yeah.
Are you saying that Mark owned him? No pun intended.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
He absolutely owned him in that debate. That wasn't even close. Wasn't even close.
Yeah, well, when the neutral moderators are sort of saying, "Hey, it was completely one-sided," you can be pretty confident. But I mean, I just do my best. And,
I was a little disappointed they didn't give you more, constructive criticism. That was one thing I was looking forward to at the end.
Yes.
CP especially, like dissecting your performance and going, well, you could have done. She normally does a really good job of dissecting both sides of the debate. And
who's that?
So CP or whatever her name is.
Cinematic psychology. Yeah.
Thank you. Cinematic
psychology. We kind of avoid CP because it's got the whole,
What's that?
Child pornography.
Yeah.
Oh,
CP. Most people call it CP.
In this country,
but CP doesn't want her real name being used, so I don't want to say cinematic psychology every time I'm talking about cinematic psychology. So,
psych or something.
Yeah.
Like
in my country, it stands for Communist Party.
There you go. Oh yeah, of course.
That's the party you belong to, there, Peter?
CCCP.
No.
CCCP.
CCCP. All right, guys.
That's what we're going to start calling it then.
Sorry, I'm getting hungry. But thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. It's been fantastic to hang out with all of you. And all the best. And I'll certainly catch up with you soon. Thanks for coming and take care. And thanks for everyone for watching. And peace.